OpenAI just dropped ChatGPT 5.2 in a code red response to Google, and I immediately tested it for every part of the writing process. This is absolutely wild. OpenAI released GPT 5.2 4 weeks early because Google's Gemini 3 was destroying them in the AI race. At least that's the word on the internet street. So I spent the last few hours testing it on story ideas, outlines, writing, and editing. Here's what authors need to know. First test, story ideas. But I'm not using lazy prompts. Here's the prompt that actually works. I'm developing a genre novel. The core premise is, give it one sentence, my target audience is readers who love this comparable title 1 and comparable title 2. Generate 5 story concepts that would work commercially in today's market. For each concept, include the hook, the emotional core, and one unique twist that differentiates it from similar books. Then rank them by commercial viability, and here's the important part, explain why. And for this test, I'm testing with a psychological thriller. The premise is about a therapist who realizes her patient is describing her life. Comp titles are Gone Girl and The Silent Patient. Here are the actual results. Each one of the results should have all of these different notes and the things we asked for. 4 different ideas, I think, and then it's going to rank them at the end and pick the one that it thinks has the best chance of commercial viability with why. The reason this prompt works is it forces the AI to think commercially, not just creatively. Most authors ask for cool ideas, which is great. But what's even better is asking for marketable commercial concepts. Test 2, outlining. Most AIs are pretty good at the structure and the outline. Here's my advanced prompt. I'm outlining a genre novel with this premise, and then put your premise there in 2 to 3 sentences. My protagonist's external goal is, put the goal, but their internal need is their need. The thematic question is, and then you enter the theme, create a detailed 3-act structure with 8 sequences. For each sequence, include the plot event, the emotional shift, how it escalates stakes, and how it relates to theme. Important. Identify the midpoint mirror and dark night of the soul moments specifically. And here's what I'm testing with this time, as you can see on the screen. Romance, premise about rival chefs forced to co-host a cooking show. External goal is winning the show. Internal need is learning to be vulnerable. And the theme is perfection versus authenticity. These kind of specific prompts really matter. And here are the results. I think this prompt works because it connects plot to character to theme. Everything is organically interconnected, which I believe is often what separates amateur outlines from professional ones. Now the big test. Can this model actually write? Here's my prose quality prompt. Write the opening 500 words of a novel. The protagonist, and you put that information there, the scene must establish voice in the first sentence, create a micro tension in the first paragraph, reveal character through action, not description, and end on a hook that makes the reader turn the page. Style reference. Give the author name. Avoid these AI tells. Purple prose. Filtering, for example, I noticed, I saw, I felt. Over description of setting. And predictable sentence structures. And I might add on the nose dialogue. And here's what I'm testing it with this time. Urban fantasy. A protagonist named Maya, who's a tattoo artist, discovering her ink brings drawings to life. Which is pretty cool. She's in her shop when a client's tattoo starts moving. Style reference, Neil Gaiman. And here are the actual results. People come into my shop wanting to be marked, and they always act surprised when it hurts. That's a pretty good opening line, to be honest. Don't move, I said, because the machine was already singing its angry little wasp song, and Liam's calf had picked that moment to twitch like it had opinions. The needle kissed too close to fresh line work. Not enough to ruin anything, enough to remind both of us that skin is a living canvas and living things have bad timing. I like it. So far, I'm interested. It's got me going. Liam exhaled through his teeth. The breath smelled of mint gum and nerves. Sorry, he said. Save it for the confession, I told him, and wiped the spot with a pad that was cold with green soap. The sting snapped his leg back into obedience. He gripped the edge of the chair so hard his knuckles went pale, the vinyl squeaking under his palms. Good. Still. Still was a love language in my line of work. Okay, I'm digging it. The shop had its usual soundtrack, the hum of the sterilizer in the back, the distant bass of someone's car rattling past on the street, and the old ceiling fan doing its best impression of a helicopter with arthritis. What I really like here is we're getting not only characterization, but we're getting a lot of different senses, sounds and smells and sights.
and even the physical, textile feelings of the needle and the movement. He gave a shaky laugh, which was better than another twitch. I shaded under the wing, the needle laying down color in neat, controlled passes. I like that sentence. I worked the way I always did, clean, steady, no theatrics. If you did it right, people left with art and maybe a story. They didn't leave with infections or regret or, God help me, talking tattoo. I kind of want to keep reading. I don't know about you. We'll finish this as quick as possible. And then they didn't settle. The ink at the edge of the wing flexed, not like a smudge or a muscle, remembering it had a job. One scale shifted over another. The line at the wingtip thickened, stretched, and then narrowed again as though it were breathing. I kept my hand steady because panic is a contagious disease and I'm vaccinated. Hold still, I said, because it was something to say. Liam swallowed. Is it supposed to? The dragon's head lifted a fraction, skin rising under it as if the tattoo had weight. Its red eye, the one I'd packed in 2 minutes ago, sharpened from pigment into a gleam. The pupil tightened, and the dragon looked straight at me. You know what? I like it. I think it did a great job here.
I am more and more impressed with all of these AI models, and that includes this new ChatGPT 5.2. The key to the prompt is that last part, telling it what not to do. AI needs guardrails. The more powerful, the more capable these models become, the more they need these guardrails. Test number 4 is developmental editing. Not line editing, developmental editing, the expensive stuff. Here's my prompt. You're a genius developmental editor analyzing this scene. Then you paste the scene there. Evaluate. Number 1, does the opening line hook immediately? Number 2, is the protagonist's goal clear? Number 3, are there stakes? And number 4, does the voice feel distinct? Number 5, is there unnecessary filtering or distance from the action? 6, does it end on forward momentum? For each issue, provide the problematic sentence and a specific revision with explanation. That's how not only do you write better with AI, but you learn to write better with or without AI. Both, I think, are so important. Here are the actual results.
I give it this deliberately flawed scene. Here's the scene right here, and here's the edit. Does the opening line hook immediately? Issue, not really. It's generic and doesn't create immediate tension or specificity. The problematic sentence. Sarah walked into the coffee shop. Yeah, that doesn't do much for me either. Specific revision. Sarah hesitated in the coffee shop doorway, spotting him in the corner before she'd even caught her breath. Why this helps. It puts the ex-boyfriend and her nerves on the page in the first beat, adds a micro decision, hesitated, and creates tension immediately instead of starting with a neutral action like walking into the coffee shop. I agree. Is the protagonist's goal clear? Here we have the issue. She's meeting her ex, but we don't know why. Is it closure? Is it apology? Is it reconciliation? Money? Answers? What? The scene's purpose is fuzzy. So I'd say that would be no. The problematic sentence, specific revision. She felt nervous about meeting her ex-boyfriend after 3 years. Tonight, she needed him to finally tell her why he disappeared. Now that's a question in my mind as the reader. Why did he disappear? I want to find out. It gives Sarah a specific objective. And yep, reader anticipation, which is exactly what happened with me. Number 3, are there stakes? The issue is the discomfort is present, but consequences aren't. What happens if she doesn't get what she came for? Problematic sentence, this was going to be harder than she thought, but we don't know why. We don't know what's at risk. Specific revision, if she walked out without answers again, she'd spend another 3 years blaming herself. So at least there's something on the line here. Why this helps. It converts vague difficulty into personal stakes with emotional consequences. The reader understand what failure cost her. That's great. Does the voice feel distinct? Is there unnecessary filtering or distance from the action? And I think there would be a lot of it there. Does it end on forward momentum? All right, so I think this is good.
Most people ask, make this better. And honestly, that does usually work to some degree. I do that all the time. So it's not useless. But even better is asking for diagnostic editing with specific fixes. And of course, you can add even more than 6 specific things for the AI to look at. Maybe you struggle with dialogue, or maybe you struggle with scene structure. Whatever it is, add whatever you think would make the story better. And here's a bonus prompt, voice consistency across chapters. Here's my prompt. Compare these 2 passages from different chapters of my novel and then you paste in passage 1, passage 2, passage 3, passage 4. Analyze if the protagonist's voice remains consistent in sentence rhythm, word choice, humor, darkness ratio, internal thought patterns, and emotional register. Flag any inconsistencies and explain how to fix them. Here are my actual results.
High level, consistent character concept, but inconsistent narrative voice. And there's like this overall summary. And below, there's a breakdown across 6 categories with flags and fixes. Both are so important. You have sentence rhythm and structure. It talks about passage 1, passage 2, and it flags inconsistencies. And it says, here's how to fix it with specific examples, which I love. I love those actionable examples. Number 2, word choice and vocabulary level. Next, we have humor and darkness ratio. Passage 1, passage 2 descriptions, inconsistency flagged, how to fix. And I want to point this out that there's also this new little subsection called if this is intentional growth. So if these differences in voice are purposeful, then we need to show the growth in between those two scenes in the novel or the story. So if chapter 8 is meant to show her softening and being humbled, the reduced edge can be justified. But you'd still want her unique humor to peek through occasionally so it feels like evolution, not a totally different narrator. So very cool internal thoughts, how to fix, emotional registry and intensity, and again, if this is intentional growth. I love that little extra piece. Biggest single inconsistency, the POV narration distance. Passage 1 is typically first person, intimate, and voicey. Passage 2 is third person, more distance and neutral. For this example, I purposefully gave 2 very different types of scenes, very different character narrations, just to see if it would pick everything up, and it seems like it really did. And here's a practical checklist to align chapter 8 with chapter 1's voice. I love it.
This is the stuff you don't catch yourself, but beta readers always mention. Okay, real talk. Is ChatGPT 5.2 going to replace authors? No, not yet anyway. Here's why. It doesn't know your story better than you, at least not yet. It doesn't have your life experience, but it's like having a $2,000 hour developmental editor available 24/7 for $20 a month or even on the free version. It catches things you miss. It generates options when you're stuck. It does the structural grunt work so that you can focus on the magic. The authors who win are using this for scaffolding, not shortcuts. To make sure that you get as much out of this as possible, I'm putting together the complete ChatGPT 5.2 Authors Toolkit, every prompt from the video, plus even more for character development, plot holes, dialogue punching up, and query letter writing. I'm going to add it as a bonus download file along with my ChatGPT book blueprint. It's free right now on my Ko-Fi store, link in the description. I think I'm going to continue to make it free. I just want you to get it and use it and let me know what you think. While you're there, check out my other tools and resources. I'm trying to create the most valuable set of resources for writers that exists anywhere in the world. I hope you check some of them out. So grab the link in the description, go get that resource,
and I'll see you in the next video.